All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about whether or not a relation is a function. So if you watch the input and output video, I talked about how I was going to make a video about functions and whether or not you can tell if something's a function or not. So the easiest way to tell if something is a function is if you have a graph. If you have a graph, I have two graphs here. One of these is a function, one of them is not a function. So there's something called a vertical line test, okay? Vertical line test, or what I refer to as VLT. All that means is if you take something like a ruler or a book or a piece of paper, something that has a straight up and down, that's as straight as I can get it, a straight up and down line, you can put that straight up and down line anywhere on the graph and it only hits that graph in one spot. Okay, so as you can see, let's say this is a ruler. I could take this ruler and just put it up and down all along this graph and it'll only hit it in one spot. So this one is a function. Okay, now this one over here, if I were to take a ruler just straight up and down, it would hit that graph in more than one spot. If it hits it in more than one spot, it is not a function. Okay, so remember, vertical line test, that's what this is called. You take a vertical line and you're testing if it's a function. Okay, so that's the easiest way to do. If you have a if you have a graph, you have a picture of a graph, or if you want to graph a bunch of points to tell if it's a function, you just take something, you hold it up vertically, and you see if it hits that graph more than one time. Now, this is going to be more common. You're going to be given a table, ordered pairs. Either way, that's the same thing. If you're given ordered pairs, this, -2, 1, 0, 2, 2, 3, 4, 4. All the ordered pairs is just x, y. Okay? If you have all different inputs, or all different x's, or all different domains, depending on how they word it in the problem that you're working on, that is going to be a function. So all you need to do to tell if it's a function, you look at these x values. Are there any repeats? Nope. All right, good. We're fine. Now, if this were, let's say this is a 1 here, that's okay because the inputs, or the x's, are still different. That's still okay. Now over here, if we look, -2, 0, -2, 4. This one is not a function, okay? Not a function, because we have two of the same x's, two of the same inputs. Doesn't matter that all of our outputs are different, but because our inputs are the same, it is not a function. Now, there is one special case, which I put over here. I put a third option, where if you look, we have two of the same inputs. But if you look, the outputs are the same also. If the inputs and the outputs are the same, it's actually just the same point, meaning this is actually a function. Even though there are two of the same inputs or two of the same x's, it's still a function because the outputs are the same. The actual rule is that you can't have one input having two different outputs. Okay? There's one more type of problem I wanted to go over with you guys, and that is a mapping diagram. This is another way to write it, right? We have our domain and our range. And the domain and the range, input, output, x, y, doesn't matter. So if I go like this, and let's say I connect this 1 and the 2, that would mean that on a table, x, y, it would be 1, 2. In an ordered pair, it would be 1, 2. So all that happens is you look to see where the arrow is going. Your domain is first, your range is second. If you watch the video about input and output, I talk about how domain and x and domain and input, they're the same thing. And then range, y, and output are the same thing. So if you have the arrows going anywhere, only one coming out from each domain, that is a function. That's cool. That's fine. You can do that. But where the issue is if we have, let's say, 2 arrows coming out of the same input. That is not good. You can't do that. That is not a function. Okay? So if the arrows are all coming out, just one arrow from each domain, that's okay. That's a function. If the arrows are coming out, there are 2 arrows, 3 arrows, 4 arrows, whatever it is, coming out from the same domain, it is not a function. Hopefully this video will help you understand whether or not a bunch of information, a relation is what it's called, whether or not a relation is a function or not. And I hope you enjoy.